I'll let you guys get on while I primp a little bit here. Would you believe I flat ironed my hair today? Something I haven't done in years. It's kind of fun, kind of different. Let me make sure we're good down here. Yep, we do. Hi, Julia. So I'm just gonna wait for a few minutes for you guys to magically appear. I'm excited, guys. Oh, I actually even had a little bit of wine this morning, which is, I know it's probably not morning if you're on the East, because it's afternoon, but it's morning here. And I haven't had any food yet. So I started getting a tummy ache and I was like, that's weird. And then I realized it's because I haven't had no food. So I was like, I need to change that. Who has time to eat though? I mean, really. Hey, Annie. Oh, I'm so excited. So we're going to wait a few more minutes and then I'll introduce myself. And we'll get going. Hey, Leslie. Making sure my notes are good over there. They are. Praise God. Hey, Lauren. One time I did a video, when was it, for my team, and I had, hey, Haley, I had, you know, all my notes over here on my computer, and like they disappeared. Hey, Stephanie. And I don't know what they did because I have a Mac, but like they went to some other place and I like had a heart attack on my live. Praise God, it was just for my team. Hi, girls. Alicia, Jamie, Hannah. Yeah, so today they're right there. They're not going to go anywhere. Oh. So I'll give it like one more minute and then we'll get the ball rolling. I'm so excited. Kind of having fun with my look today. I wore, what did I wear today? Creme brulee. I haven't worn just creme brulee by itself in a long time. Kind of fun. It's kind of fun just to have a soft pink. And like I told you, I haven't flat ironed my hair in, I don't know, years. I saw my hubby this morning and he was like, oh, I said, do you like my hair, babe? I flat ironed it. And he's like, oh my gosh, yeah. Hey, Holly. He said, yeah, you haven't done that in forever. That's what you used to look like when we were dating 13 years ago. Hey, Amanda. So that was kind of fun. Yay. Okay. Since you guys are getting on, I'm almost at that place where I'm going to intro myself and stop just doing small talk. So let's get started, okay? Hi, I'm Saramduffey, and I am a lead beauty guide with LimeLight by Alcone. I am a retired professional makeup artist. Just want to see if I missed anybody. No, I didn't. Retired solely because of my success with LimeLight, and Miss Haley Bell, as I lovingly call her, because she's my little Southern belle, asked me if I would share some of my branding secrets with you guys. And so, of course, I obliged, and I was excited to help empower and train and equip all of you. So, that being said, let's get started. Hey, Jessica. And if you miss any of this, watch the replay. I will say this to those of you who are watching. You probably want to have a little notebook to jot down some notes because this is going to be really dense and just full of information. And so it might be good. Of course, the beauty of this is you can go back and rewatch it should you need to. Okay, so let's start. So what's so fascinating about this to me, about Haley asking me to do this, and Haley, I have to say, has been a huge champion of me in this process. And, just saying, Sarah, your branding is so on point. Hey, Michelle, your branding is so amazing. It's so classy. I love it. I learned from you. She's really championed me. And what's so fascinating to me is that what I've heard from her, I've heard from other people, not even in LimeLight, for quite some time now. Oh, I love your branding, Sarah. Your branding is amazing. Your branding is so awesome. And for the longest time, I was like, what branding? I do branding? What are they talking about? Like, for the longest time, I had no idea what they were talking about. And I think that was just, as women, it takes us some time to really own the value that we possess and to actually see in ourselves what everybody else sees in us. And so after hearing that, so many times, I was like, oh yeah, I have a brand. I have a brand. And, for the longest time, like I said, I just thought, what are they talking about? I'm just doing what I think looks good. And what's cool about that is a big part of branding. Doing something that is authentic to you is huge in having a very successful and effective and relatable brand. So I think it's really cool how I came to the place of realizing, the power of my own brand. So that's my intro to myself. Let's talk about, okay, I'm gonna look at my notes here. Before we can even begin to address how do we do effective branding, we need to be able to identify what our brand is. Okay, so I kind of want to walk you through what a brand is, what your brand might be, because I don't know what your brand is. You know what your brand is. And then I want to tell you what my brand is so that you'll then see, as I'm telling you this, if you look at my newsfeed, at my videos, you'll see, okay, I see that displayed in Sarah's brand, everything that she said. One thing that I really want to make sure that I clarify is that your brand is not LimeLight. LimeLight is not your brand. You are your brand. LimeLight is a part of your brand. Does that make sense? Really important to know that and to acknowledge that. Okay, so let's talk about what my brand is, and then that kind of, I think, will give inspiration and kind of start the creative juices flowing in your minds about what your brand might be. And what's cool is the things that I'm going to tell you that I believe are my brand are things that I believe are my brand, but they're also things that women have said to me, this is what I see in you. And so it's like a, what's what I'm looking for? Can't think of the right word. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but that's not quite the right word. But what I am putting out is what people are receiving. Does that make sense? So I believe that our brands are made up of two parts. One, the characteristics that we embody, which I'll talk about what those are for me so that you can kind of identify what some of those are for you. And then two, the roles that we fulfill. Okay? So the characteristics of my brand, sorry, I got a ditch here, are professional. And these, again, these are things that I would tell you are my brand, but people have also told me, this is what I see in you. So that's a really cool thing. When your branding is going well, that's what's going to happen. Professional, authentic, elegant, fun, and classy. Those are the characteristics of my brand. Now, who is my brand? Because your brand isn't just a what. Remember, it's also a who. So who is my brand are the roles that I fulfill every single day. That is, I'm a mom. Hey, Kaylee. I am a wife, and even more specifically, I'm a pastor's wife. That's a big part of my brand and who I am. I'm a professional makeup artist. I am a Christian. I am a Direct Sales Diva. I wrote that in my notes. With LimeLight by Alcone. That's part of my brand. And I am a woman who has risen over great adversity. Risen above. Over sounds weird. And I'm a goober. If you've watched anything I've ever done, you've seen that. So that's the who behind my brand. So I told you the what, and then there's the who. So what I want you to do, and you don't need to do this now, I want you to sit down, and obviously you don't have to do this. I'm giving you a suggestion here. And write a column. What is my brand and who is my brand? You know, and I think you'll probably be able to come up with at least 4 or 5 different things for each, like I just shared with you. And that's a really good place to start, because we have to make sure that we are authentically portraying all parts of our brand to be successful at branding. Does that make sense? I mean, you're not saying yes, but I'm assuming it does. Okay, and what's cool, guys, is that those elements, like I just told you, the what and the who, are going to be then interwoven into everything that you see me share on social media. You know, and that's 1 million, cajillion, bajillion% intentional. You know, there's a reason why you won't see me do selfie after selfie after selfie after selfie, or, you know, mom post after mom post after mom post, or inspirational, you know, quote after inspirational quote after inspirational quote. There's a reason why you see me intentionally break it up, because I am pulling in all parts of my branding in what I present on my social media. Okay, let's move on. I'm really proud of myself. This is more succinct than I thought I would be. I'm kind of a talker. If you haven't ever seen me before, you will notice that. Okay, let's talk about creating your brand, because, you know, there are very specific do's and don'ts and things that will help and hinder your process of creating your brand. And it's important to note that your branding and your brand is going to be displayed without you intentionally showcasing those things. So you're going to see my, you know, just for example, like what we talked about with me, you're going to see the professionalism and the authenticity and the mom and the goober and the elegance. You're going to see all of that interwoven and showcased in my brand, because I am intentionally being true to those things as I post. And it's going to be the same for you. Okay, let me scroll down here. All right, here's some things, and again, you can take this and you can go, well, that was chopped liver, I'm going to check it out, or you can chew on it and, you know, implement these things in your own business. That's the beauty of direct sales. We're all our own CEOs, so you get to decide, you know, how you run your business. Here's some things that I believe are really important and 100% reflect your brand. You know, and I want to make sure that I share that this isn't meant to pinpoint anyone, to shame, to outcast, to scrutinize, or to cast judgment on anyone. This is solely to share with you what has worked for me and why everybody sees my brand as, I don't know, so impeccable and awesome, and, you know, whatever it is you see in it. Hey, Katie. So here's some things, and we're going to talk about this in great detail in just a second, but I want to kind of just throw them out there. Spelling. Okay. That's a biggie. Grammar. That's a biggie. Punctuation. That's a biggie. Simplicity. Color choice. Hey, Keisha. Font. Word choice. Picture quality. Video quality. And not just the quality, like I'm talking about not just how it looks, but the quality of your content. Those things all reflect your brand. And, you know, if you haven't realized it by now, when you join LimeLight and you decided, okay, I want to run with this, and I'm going to utilize my social media to spur on and fuel my business, you now have switched into a place where your social media isn't for you anymore. Your social media isn't for fun anymore. Your social media isn't to connect with friends anymore. And those things will happen on your social media, but the primary purpose of your social media now is your business. And so your social media now has taken on a whole new identity and a whole new purpose in your life. And it's really important that you take that very seriously. And if you don't, like I said, that's up to you, but you're missing out on the breadth and the depth and the fruits that actively and intentionally utilizing your social media can then yield in your business. So that being said, everything that you see me post is 100% intentional and 100% mindful. Everything that I post is intentional to grow my business. Now, that doesn't mean if you look at my page, and I would really encourage you to go ahead and look at my feed and just get ideas and kind of see how I do things, how I word things, how the type of graphics that I use, because I feel like that is really helpful. I mean, that's helped me just looking at other women that I admired and I've respected and seeing, okay, this is what they do. I like that. I am going to, replicate that in my own way. So I totally invite you and encourage you to do that. But I want you to know that everything that I post is to grow my business. However, you will never see me, if you look at my feed, there's nothing spammy in it. I actually intentionally don't ever use our company graphics. I feel like I've probably used them twice in 6 months. And even that was actually intentional. And the reason is, and there's nothing wrong if you do that, but the reason is I create and I craft every single thing that I put on social media, even if it's a 2-sentence post. It has been intentionally, carefully, thoughtfully, and mindfully crafted as I put it out there. And even if it's a post about my family or all of the other things that I told you that are a part of my brand, is it disingenuous that I'm putting it out there as to build and grow and pursue my business and my brand? No, it's 100% authentic. And that's kind of a key thing, because if you are disingenuous, that's going to be received by your audience. So it's 100% genuine and authentic, but it's 100% intentional. So let's talk about some of my techniques and the things that I take very seriously as I craft and create what you see me post on social media. So I shared a little bit about our graphics. Now, we work for a company that has incredibly beautiful, classy packaging, graphics, everything. And I love it all. And it doesn't have anything to do with being ashamed of that or anything like that. So I want you to know that first and foremost. I do, however, have a great sensitivity to how the outside world sees direct sales. And I was one of those people forever. And for me, I know that when I see somebody post a picture of a product, a picture of a lipstick, a mascara, whatever, you know what I do? I scroll right past. I see it, my brain registers it as ding, 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 that's an advertisement. I treat it like I do the commercials on my DVR. I fast forward. I don't even read it. And immediately, whether I realize it or not, consciously, my mind goes to thinking, this person is trying to sell me something. That's immediately what I think. And I don't want to ever communicate that to my audience. And I really believe that the reason I've been able to be so successful, actually monetarily with LimeLight is because of that my audience does not receive me as selling them something. And that's largely in part to my branding. So what do I do instead? Well, instead, I interweave LimeLight into everything that I post. For example, I posted a selfie this morning, and I think on it. So if you haven't seen it, go look at it. It's actually from yesterday, and I'll talk about how you space things out and why that's important. And I think I wrote this, caption about fear, because that's actually what my live was on yesterday, and how fear can either, it's a catalyst to either paralyze us or fuel us. And so I talked about that briefly. And then at the very bottom, in parentheses, I say, and I do this a lot, almost all the time, today's fearless look, hey April, is brought to you by LimeLight by Alcone, and I tag it in there. And then I say I'm wearing, and I don't give a whole list. I used to give a whole list of what I was wearing, like the whole look. And then I realized for the average, woman, and I don't mean average like she's unintelligent. Hey, Kimberly. For the average woman, that's just way too much information. And they're going to treat that like I do with the lipstick pictures. They're just going to scroll on by and be like, oh, that's too much. So I always highlight like 1, 2, 4 things. Usually 2. But today I think I did 4. I said my mascara, the blush, and the lip color that I was wearing. And it's 4 because there was 2 to make the lips. So that's an example of how I just posted about something that was incredibly inspirational. And I forgot to say it. That's actually another part of my brand, being an encourager, being a someone who's very inspirational to my community. That's another part of it. Forgot to share that. So I posted this really awesome, little nugget about fear, and then I wove LimeLight into it. That's one way. Last night, I made a picture of my daughter and I creating samples. And so I took a picture of her, and I wrote, it's super cute. She was, I had her set up at our table. I took a picture of the whole setup, and I wrote in the content there, something about she's my first employee, and, how proud of her I am, and how we had this little assembly line, and how she earned her Bella bucks. Her name is Bella. And so I got to talk about parenting. I got to explain about how our approach, what Bella Bucks do. And then I got to also talk about what we were doing. And I didn't even mention LimeLight. Like I didn't tag LimeLight, or I didn't, say my website or anything. But yet that post was an advertisement for LimeLight. So that's just kind of some examples of how I choose to interweave it into everything you see, without doing product image. And because, like I said, not that there's anything wrong. Our graphics are top notch, but I know how the outside world receives that. And so I intentionally don't. And that's my personal choice. Okay, moving on. Spelling. You guys, and again, this is not meant to chastise anyone. This is not meant to isolate or shame anyone. But as you know, likely by now, I've told you that people receive me as professional. There's many reasons for that, and we're going to talk about that, as I keep going. Correct spelling is a huge part of that. And so the one that I would say that I see the most, this isn't just with LimeLight, this is with all people on social media, is the incorrect version of your and their. And I'll be honest with you, when I see that, my mind, this is a totally unconscious thing. Is it Rhiannon? Hey, Rhiannon. My mind immediately goes to, it's almost like it knocks their credibility, and it knocks their professionalism just down a notch. I may know nothing about this person, but honestly, for me, when I read their post or their graphic, that's all I can see. I can't, they might as well have just wrote your, the whole, because that's all I can see. And I'm like, oh gosh. And honestly, it makes me question their intelligence. And I think, did they graduate high school? Because how did they not know that? My daughter is 10. I had to think for a second. And she knows the difference. So here's the thing. If you don't know the correct usage of your and their, just Google it, look it up, empower and equip and train yourself, okay? And remember, hey, Tammy, it's those little things that you're not necessarily intentionally doing that actually are going to drive and create and define your brand to the world around you. So if you want to be received as professional and credible, pay attention to your spelling. You know, and with the spelling comes other things that are in your writing, and that is punctuation. That's a huge one. I see incorrect punctuation a lot, and I know that not everyone is like me. I am a natural writer. That's like one of my giftings. It always has been. But do some research, you know? Like, if you don't know where the comma goes or where the parentheses go or where the quotes go, do some research. Because, I mean, think about it like this. I love Nordstrom, and I see Nordstrom as classy, classic, elegant, always on, like fashion forward. And I love to shop there because of all of those things. I love how I feel when I shop there. I love how I get treated. I love the customer service, and I love the products. Well, I can't tell you, but hang on, like I can't tell you. I can't, not that I can't tell you, I can't remember. That's what, like, what am I trying to say with this? I can't remember a time that I looked at like a description of something on the website and there was a misspelled word or really horrible grammar or no punctuation or no capitals at the beginning of a sentence. Do you get what I'm saying? Those are the things that will set you apart. Those are little things that we can all do to bump ourselves up to here, okay? In terms of being received as professional and credible. The other thing that we can do in our writing, and you can all do this, is take into consideration the readability. And like I said, I know that not everyone's a writer like me, and that's okay. You don't need to be, but there's things that you can do in your posts to make them actually more readable to the eye. And one of those things is spacing and spacing out your paragraphs. Okay, so for me, if you go to my page, you'll see some posts, several of them, and notice how I write. Now, I write long-winded posts, which honestly, that actually defies what the norm should be or is for what is the most successful on social media. If you would ask a social media guru, they would say, well, yeah, you need to have, I mean, and I have talked to social media gurus, short and sweet, concise, short, sweet. Well, my posts are anything but concise and short and sweet. They are long-winded. And, you know, I used to ask my husband, babe, do you think that's okay? Like, this is kind of long for a post, but like, I don't feel like I can cut anything out, you know, like I need all of this. Like, it's just important to me. And he's always said, babe, if the writing is good, people are going to read it. They don't care how long it is. If it's good, they'll read it. And I am proof of that because my posts are freaking long. And I know people read them based on how they comment because certain details that I only share at the bottom, they respond to. And I'm like, wow, they actually read the whole thing. So that being said, how do you make your post readable to the reader? Like I said, spacing things out. So you'll notice that I naturally break stuff up when there's like a pause or a transition in the thought as I'm writing it. So I'm not going to do a paragraph that's like this long as my post because that's hard to read. You know, I actually have a really hard time reading stuff like that, and usually I'll just scroll right past it. So I'll do a couple of sentences, sometimes one, and I'll space it, double space. And what that does is it allows for readability, and the readability goes up. So it's really important to consider. Okay, let's talk about, oh my gosh, I just spit on myself. Okay, let's talk graphics. So I create all of the graphics that you see me post. Now, it's really important that that if you're ever using the LimeLight logo, in your graphics that you're using the one that says LimeLight by Alcone Independent Beauty Guide, so that it's not looking like it's something that corporate created. And that's actually something I just learned recently. So I have changed that as of like 2 weeks ago. So note to self, do that. But I create all of my graphics. Now, one thing that, well, not one thing. There's several things that go into making my graphics look the way they do. And these are things that you can apply as well. You need to take into consideration the 3 things: color, font, and simplicity. Okay, so let's first talk about color. Now, I was really excited before I joined LimeLight, I switched all of my branding to black and white, because I thought black and white is so classic, it's classy, it's clean, and it's eye-catching. It's everything that I want. So I switched everything to black and white before LimeLight, and then when I decided to join, I was kind of like, this is exciting. LimeLight is black and white too. So that was exciting for me. And even if it wasn't, I would have stuck with it, because I love black and white for all of the reasons I just shared. If you don't want to do black and white, you don't need to copy me. I mean, if you do, that's fine too. I don't buy the colors, so I don't own them, so you can. But let's just say you don't. Let's say you really want a color. You need to use no more than 2 colors. Keep those colors down. The simplicity factor, I cannot even express to you how important. Let's go back to Nordstrom. What colors do you see in them? If you in their branding, you'll see Nordstrom is like a white and a gray, and then at certain events they'll add in like a red, like when it's like their what I'm talking about, their sale, their annual sale or biannual sale, they will add in like red. That's important, you know. Simplicity. I think of Chipotle. I love their billboards, and literally their billboards are, usually it's just like a, you know, burrito wrapped in foil. So you see this like ovular cylinder foil thing, and then one sentence that's usually like 3 words, like a really quick phrase. And I have always thought, wow, whoever does their branding is a freaking genius, because it's perfect. It's simple, it's short, it's classic, it's clean. So simplicity is huge. I cannot even express that enough, because what you're doing when you're putting out a graphic, whether it's something to promote a video that you're doing, whether it's a congratulations to one of your team members for a promotion, those are graphics, or, you know, whatever it is. You're actually creating eye candy for your reader, okay? And so you need to do what you can to make that simple, clean, and eye-catching. When you put in a gazillion different pictures, you know, when I first started with LimeLight, so I've evolved even since then. I would make my graphics, like for my new team members or when they promoted or got a fast start, I would include like, I don't know, 3 pictures of them, plus like a welcome, plus like a LimeLight thing. Too much, way too much. I just can't even express to you how important simple is. And you could be the most like eccentric, you know, over the top person. I'm kind of eccentric. But in this arena, you guys, simple and clean and classic is going to go farther, because you're going to basically show the reader what to look at. And if you've got like 20 things going on in that picture, they're going to be like, oh, what? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's too much information. So keep it simple. You know that rule about jewelry? It's like, go whenever you're about to go out the door, take off one piece, which I don't, because I love jewelry. But actually I didn't wear a necklace, and I love necklaces, but I didn't because too much. That's got so much going on. So take something out of your posts. And I've seen a lot of your posts, and I know like your intention is great, but it's too much information. And pick 1 to 2 colors. You know, so for me, my color is black and white. If you have white as the background, I would say 1 or 2 in addition to that, and that's it, no more. And then pick 2 fonts. Is it Cheris? Karis, hello. 2 fonts. That's also important. Again, simplicity. I cannot express how huge that is. For me, I use an app called Over, and it only works for iPhone. So if you don't have one, sorry, but I'm sure there's some for Androids. I love my Over app because it stores everything. So I can just go back in and I can tweak and reuse stuff, you know, as time goes on, which is awesome. Saves me time. You can add images. And I love the fonts. And so I use 2 fonts always. And I actually used these 2 fonts before LimeLight, and I've just stuck with them. And there might be a time where maybe I feel the need, like once in a blue moon, to add a 3rd, but honestly, I just stick to the 2. You know, I think the ones I use are Hello Beautiful and Lulo. I think that's what it's called. But you don't have to use what I use. The point is consistency. So all of the things that I've been talking about and how you could create a graphic that's eye-catching and simple and clean, you need to then do that over and over and over. So part of why people recognize my brand, part of why you recognize Nordstrom, part of why we recognize Chipotle is they don't do a different thing every day. You know, I don't see that one billboard that I just told you about, and then the next week it's like, you know, a different font and like a bunch of stuff and a different color. Like, they're doing the same thing over and over and over, and the consistency is huge. So find an app, pick a color, pick 2 fonts, and stick with it, okay? I hope you guys are there. No one's saying anything, but it says you are, so we're going to go with it. Okay, another thing that's a really big part of my branding is my videos. And I know that if you're in LimeLight, you're likely doing videos. Well, you don't need to be a professional speaker. You don't need to be a news anchor to create a great, well-delivered, powerful video. But there's some things to consider. When you are making your video, you have a captive audience. And so you want to utilize, just like with all of your posts, you have a captive audience. You want to utilize the heck out of that time. And there's certain things that you can do that will make your video appear more professional or less. So a couple of things. If you don't have a tripod, get a tripod. The one I have, I'd show it to you, but I can't. It's an Acuvar, Acuvar. Got it on Amazon for, I think, $15. That's huge because now my phone's not going to fall. I don't have to, it's going to be, I'm going to place it perfectly. Now, another thing I want you to notice is look where my head is, okay? As you can see, the writing goes up to here. So it's really important that your head is above the writing. So look at the difference here. If my head was down here and there's all that dead space, what are you going to look at? Are you going to look at me or the dead space? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of distracting. So it's really important that not only do you frame things in a way that's easy to watch and not distracting, but that you do it in advance. I've seen some people hit start and then set up their phone and then set up their lighting and then tweak things. And yeah, you might make a mistake one time, but that should definitely be the exception, not the norm. So you need to set everything up before you hit start so you are good to go. Because I gotta be honest, when you do that, like when you hit start and then you like tweak it, and it just, it lowers the professionalism just a smidge. Does that make sense? Now, a lot of people use backgrounds, like a backdrop. I don't have a backdrop. Actually, I do have one. Forgot about that. From before LimeLight. And that's a personal choice. I like, for right now, I have my house in the background. It's obviously picked up, and you can see everyone always, when people come over, they're like, where do you film? And then I tell them where it is, and they're like, oh yeah, I recognize the, those chests. And they're like, oh, okay. But all that to say, I intentionally have my house in the background because, and that's intentional, because I want to show people my home, because that's part of my brand. Being a mom, being a wife, it's part of it. Now, I'm not opposed to having a backdrop, and I think that for some people, that's a perfect choice. And maybe one day I will have a backdrop, but for right now, I've chosen to do this because I want to come across as, like the things I told you in my brand, relatable and authentic and mom and all of the things that you see in me. So that's intentional. That being said, I intentionally picked this spot because I like what's behind us. I like how that looks. And there was other spots that I thought about, but then I was like, I like how this looks. So be intentional with what your background looks like. Be intentional with setting up your phone in advance. I use a little ring light. That's another thing that's going to make you look professional or not professional, your lighting. And my little ring light, guys, was like $17. So I bought them both on Amazon. It's a selfie rechargeable ring light. It's like this big. And it's great for right now until I can afford to get a really awesome light. So that's important. Also, you'll see that I have natural lighting on me. It's important to be front lit, not backlit or side lit. Again, it's just going to portray you as professional and like you know what you're doing. The other thing, so those are some of the technical pieces of a video. What about the content? And are there things that you can intentionally do as you're giving a video to appear more professional, to be more professional? Yes. One of the things that I always do, and I didn't start off doing this, so I've learned this, is at the beginning of every video, after I've kind of given, a few minutes for people to join, I introduce myself every single time. Just kind of like I did with you guys. I say, hi, I'm Saramduffey. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. And then I say a few little tidbits on who I am and what I do. So I say, I am a retired professional makeup artist. I am a lead beauty guide with LimeLight by Alcone. And this is what I do. And I kind of just talk a little bit about how I share these videos every week where I share tricks and tips and my favorite products. And then I also share my heart. And I get to impact and inspire and just really relate to women. So thank you for watching. So I do that at the beginning. I introduce myself. Then at the end of my video, I give essentially 3 call to actions. And I always say again, this is Saramduffey. Thank you for watching. Retired professional makeup artist, lead beauty guide with LimeLight by Alcone. And I say, here's some ways that you can get a hold of me and get a hold of products and learn more about the business. I include those 3 every single time. And I first say, hey, maybe you watched this video and you loved what you saw. Great. Guess what? You can get your hands on everything that I just demonstrated. And I like to highlight this. And what's really cool about it is you might just be excited about great products or great makeup. But for me, by you choosing to purchase your beauty products from me, it actually directly benefits me. So you are directly supporting me in my life. And I think that's amazing. I say that every time. Then I say, here's where you can go. If you want to buy these products, great. You just need to go to my microsite, which is, and I tell them, and mine is usewhatiuse.com. If you don't have a microsite or a, I think, what do we call it? A fabricated site. I think that's what LimeLight calls it. Well, we all have our fabricated site. But if you don't have a redirect to that, that's really important because, again, that's going to bump you up in credibility. Because instead of having to say, limelightbyalcone.com /so-and-so / such and such number, party, blah, 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 you just give them a clean, concise website. So I picked usewhatiuse.com because that spoke to my heart. And I was like, yep, that communicates exactly what I want. So that's mine. So if you don't have that, definitely do that and do the redirect. Then I say, okay, let's say you're watching this video and you've liked everything, but you've got questions. Well, guess what? I would love to answer those questions. And I then share the different ways that they can have those questions answered and that I can come alongside them and guide them and, be their personal beauty concierge. That's what I call it. Hey, Jenny. And so I tell them that I now offer 2 special services for all of you. I tell them about the 2 things that I offer, which is I call them phone consults, and then I offer one-on-one makeup and skincare workshops, and I explain what those are. And I'll do it for you guys so you can hear my verbiage. you know what those are is you come over. I open my house. I open my house. I open my home 1 day a week, and you come over and we go through the entire process. I give you an opportunity to share what your concerns are, what your needs are, what's working currently, what's not working currently. And then we start with the entire skincare routine. So you get to try everything. And I educate you on, what good skincare is. Then after that, we do a teaching makeover. And I create a beautiful, natural, simple, everyday look for you. And I create a little face chart, which we have those in our resource library, and I create an order form. And so then after the teaching makeover, then we discuss what would be best for you based on your needs and your budget. And then I even take it a step farther. And, because I'm so grateful that you are choosing to invest in me when I know you could choose to buy your beauty products anywhere, I want to do what I can to make things easier for you. So then I even place the order for you. And that way it's just one less thing that you have to do. And it's kind of a win-win for us all. So I explain that. And then I say the phone consult is the same process, but we do it over the phone or we do it virtually. We can Skype, we can do FaceTime. And then I always create a call to action about my team, about joining the company. And I say, and the other thing is if you're watching this and you're thinking, I feel like I could be doing that. You probably could. And I would love to talk to you about it. I would love to be a resource and a guide. And, there's no pressure. There's not going to be any weird, I'm not going to hound you every day. But I would love to just be a help to help you figure out if this is the right choice for you. Then at the end of saying those 3 things, I always thank them for watching and for supporting me. And I say how much it means to me. And then I end my video. So those are things that kind of bump up my video to that next level of not just, hey girls, I'm just gonna blah, blah, blah. Like I'm taking it to that professionalism and just classy, elegant level. Okay, timing. We're almost done, guys. Are you guys getting overloaded? Timing is so key. Okay, let's discuss. You should have, as a minimum, at least 1 hour in between your posts. What is ideal is 3 to 4. You should be posting 3 to 4 times a day. Now, I'm a huge believer in taking a Sabbath and treating the weekend differently. That's why we're doing direct sales after all, so we have more time and freedom with our families. So that same rule does not apply in the weekends. I post less on the weekends intentionally. But Monday through Friday, I intentionally post 3 to 4 times a day. And I am very intentional with the timing. I do 1 in the morning. I do 1 midday. And included in that 3 to 4 is my video. So if you're doing a video, that is included in there. Keep that in mind. And then I'll either do 1 in the afternoon and then 1 in the late evening, or just 1 in the evening. Nothing before 7 a.m. and nothing after 10 p.m. And usually for me, I try to do it actually after 8 a.m. in the morning and like at the latest 9:30 p.m. at night. And granted, I'm in a different time zone than you guys are, and so it's not going to be perfect, but that's just a general rule. And that has to do with how Facebook works and how people are seeing things and being intentional. So there's no need to post any more than that amount of time. If you're posting every 30 minutes or every hour, that's too much, and those posts are going to be missed. Does that make sense? So that is what we do for timing. Now, something important to consider with timing is I really recommend utilizing a social media manager. And I have the app called Postcron. There's Hootsuite. There's several others. Postcron is free, and I like it because it's on my phone. Hootsuite, you have to do it on your computer. And actually it changed. I used to use it before LimeLight, and it changed my picture quality. They weren't as good. And so I didn't use it. Oh, and really quick, we're talking about Facebook. We're not talking about Instagram. You do not post that much on Instagram. On Instagram, the most you should ever post is once a day, and ideally like every other day, every couple of days. I have some friends who are very successful and have huge followings on Instagram, and I've sought them out and picked their brains, and that's the advice that they've given me. So keep that in mind. But we're not going to address that really much today. So we're talking about Facebook here. And what I like about having a social media manager like my post cron is I can schedule things for times that I know I'm going to like want to be with my family at night and not be working, not be on social media. But I know that's a good time. Like nighttime, guys, is a really good time. I mean, those 3 times I told you, morning, lunchtime, and evening, those are the best times, period. I would say the best of those 3 is actually evening. So if I have a post that I really want a lot of people to see, I save it for night. Which brings me to the next point, which is saving things. So I told you I don't do selfie after selfie after selfie, or, video after video. I'm filling my feed with all kinds of different things. So because of that, I will take a selfie after I do a video. I recommend you do that too, because you're already made up, so you might as well. And a lot of times I'll save them for the next day, for 2 days later, because I'm being very intentional with what I'm posting. And that's another reason why I love that post cron, because I can have things set up, and there's a lot of times where I have my whole day's posts done the day before, like for the next day, and I'm like, yes. And then you can focus on other things, so you don't feel like you're just like chained to your social media. Hashtags. Okay. Again, just like using the correct, spelling and things like that, the correct version of your and their, how important that is. Using hashtags correctly is important too. Now, not everyone's going to notice this. I notice this because I know what hashtags are supposed to be used for. So the reason why we have hashtags is to actually group things so that when you search, like in Google or something, you could type in a certain phrase or a word, and it's going to pull up everything that was posted with that hashtag. So it was created to group things. And the 2 main places that hashtags are really used are on Twitter and on Instagram. Now, let's talk about hashtags on Facebook. So with Facebook, they're not really used the same way. You'll notice a lot of people will do like hashtag best day ever, or, hashtag, can't think of it. You get what I'm saying. Like something that's cute and funny and like part of what they want to come across, like say in their post without actually saying it. That is what they're used for on Facebook. And that being said, I think it's important to realize and recognize that if you are using a hashtag on Facebook, you, it's okay to do those things. You'll see me do like, the only times I do them very rarely, on purpose, very rarely, because I feel like they can take away a little bit from the authenticity of the content if we're not careful. So I'll do like when I have a new team member, I'll say, I'll hashtag my my slogan, which is transforming faces, transforming lives. And I'll hashtag my team name, and then I'll hashtag, however many we have, like 15 women strong or something. That's the only time I do it, pretty much. And I would say if you're going to use a hashtag, 1 to 3, no more than 3. If you just put a bunch of hashtags at the bottom of your post, it looks cluttered, and it goes back to that simplicity thing, that clean thing, that professional thing, the elegance thing, too much. And keep in mind, too, you don't need to do the hashtags like you would on Instagram. On my Instagram, I use a gazillion hashtags. And I do them in the first comment, which if you're not doing that, you should. Always do it in the first comment, not in your original context or your original post. Because that's how people find my pictures on Instagram. That's when I'm actually using hashtags intentionally, like, makeup of the day, perfect lipstick, clean makeup, pro makeup artist, like those. I'm using that on Instagram, not on Facebook, because Facebook is totally different. And when you do that, like I said, not only does it clutter your post and it takes away, I believe, from the actual content, but to me, to someone who knows what hashtags are for, to me, when I see that, it looks like you don't know what you're doing. And so it's like it knocks your credibility and your professionalism down. And I don't want that for you guys. So be intentional. Only use hashtags when you really feel like you need to. And remember, there's a different purpose for them on Facebook than there is on Twitter and Instagram. Also, spelling. When you use a hashtag, it's not going to spell check because it's all, one word. So I can't tell you how many times I've seen words misspelled on hashtags, and I'm like, oh gosh. It's like the fingernails down the chalkboard. Yeah. So that being said, be careful about your spelling. Now, are you guys asking questions? Because I haven't gotten like any hearts, any questions. I can see that you're on here, but if you are and I'm not getting it, I'm really sorry. I was gonna see if you texted me, Haley, but my computer and my phone are kind of having this weird syncing problem, so hopefully you're not asking me questions. Because it's been like radio silence on my end as far as what I'm seeing from you guys. Okay. I've talked about this before, and we're almost done, guys. You did amazing. Intentionality. Intentionality is so important. I can't even tell you. Remember, everything that you post should be intentional. So when you're posting, your day at the zoo picture, obviously, yeah, you want to share that because you're happy and you're proud. And it says I have 50 comments so far. Oh Lord, it's not showing me any comments, you guys. I feel like a jerk. I'm so sorry. I'm not ignoring you. It's showing me nothing, sadly. Dang it. No. Well, okay. We're gonna keep going. Oh, I'm sad. You thought I was ignoring you. Shoot. Let me see if I do this. Nope, that didn't do anything. Okay. Wow. That's such a bummer. I'm so sorry, Haley, and I'm so sorry, everybody. I really just was like, wow, they're like really engrossed in this apparently because it's radio silence, like crickets. Be intentional. So if you're posting the picture of you at the zoo with your daughter, with your kids, be intentional. It doesn't mean you have to write like, wearing my LimeLight lipstick at the zoo. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is be intentional that you're posting that content because it's reflecting you as a mom, having a family, and post that, and don't do like, zoo post, zoo post, zoo post, zoo post. Like, do zoo post. Then do, your LimeLight selfie. And, it says 25 people have reacted. Oh my gosh. No! Well, yay, but I'm sad that I haven't seen anything. Be intentional with what you write, craft, create. Be intentional with your verbiage. Take the time to check your spelling, to make sure you're using grammar and things like your and their correctly. And I'm just going to, this isn't to not chastise, this isn't to demean anyone. Y-O-U-R is possessive, okay? That means it belongs to you, like your purse, your house, your video. It belongs to the person that's possessive. Y-O-U''R-E is you are. So if you're telling someone they are beautiful or they are kind or they are professional, you have to use the apostrophe, okay? That might help you. And back to the intentionality, remember guys, you have 3 shots basically every single day, 3 to 4, to intentionally engage and captivate and interact with a captive audience who will then turn around and either choose to, one, support you and buy from you and follow you and watch you and want more from you, or two, just dismiss you and walk the other way. What are you doing with that opportunity? So we all have that every single day. So be intentional with what you're posting and don't let anything be a wasted post, okay? You know, and the last thing I want you to consider, and this is just some encouragement, you know, there's a lot of times where we will make a post, myself included, and it gets like 3 likes. I have that happen. Don't beat yourself up, because I want you to remember that everything that you do is your marketing. You are, so with being in direct sales, you are the makeup artist, you're the marketing team, you're the PR team, you're the advertising team, you're the customer service team. You are all of the above. You are all of that. That's you. And that's a big, you know, responsibility to fill, but you can do it. You know, we can all do it. And so I want you to remember that everything that you're putting on your social media is your PR, is your advertising. It's like a billboard. It's like a commercial. So even if someone doesn't like it or respond to it, and you're like, wow, well, that engagement sucked, I guarantee you people are seeing it. And so don't judge your success and how you're impacting your sphere of influence by what your engagement per each post is. You just need to remember, you know, like when I post, so before a lot of my lives, I'll do a little, like a teaser graphic, basically saying what my next video is going to be on and when it's going to be. And I probably get anywhere from like, I don't know, 4 to 8 likes versus, you know, on some of my pictures or some of my posts, I'll get 50 to 100. But on those, I get very little. However, it's okay. It's part of my branding. It's part of my advertisement. It's part of my marketing. And so you have to remember that we are, you have to see the big picture. Does that make sense? And I can't believe I never saw any of your comments. I'm so mad right now. Mad in a happy way, because I'm obviously not mad, if you can tell by my face. And so take heart, okay? Know that direct sales is unlike any other career you've ever had. It's not a 9-to-5 where you punch in and you get your paycheck every 2 weeks and you do the same thing every day and you get paid the same thing every 2 weeks. Direct sales is an investment that literally has the power to transform your entire existence. But it's an investment and it takes time. It's like, I feel like it's like planting a garden or, you know, baking a cake or whatever you want to call it. You don't just put the ingredients and then you're like, oh yay, here's my cake. You have to mix it. You have to pour it in a pan. You have to bake it. You got to let it cool. You don't just plant seeds and then you're like, oh my gosh, I have a beautiful rose garden. Yay. Like you got to water it. It's got to be, you know, it's got to get sunshine. There's got to be time. So what I want to just remind you of is, like all investments, direct sales takes time and it takes consistency. So you give it time, you be consistent and intentional, and I guarantee you, you will be successful in time. Okay, so take heart. And sadly, as we know, I wasn't able to see any of your questions or comments or hearts. I was like, so like, hopefully they don't like hate me or something. So if you have questions, as I always say, my inbox is always open. You can always reach out to me. Probably what I am going to do though is I'll look at the video and I'll see if there were questions and do my best to answer them. But I'm sorry. Facebook fail. So that's all, my loves. Thank you so much for watching. Haley, thank you for having me. You guys have an incredible leader. Haley is amazing. And I hope that was helpful. And I hope that you learned something, and I love you all. I'm so honored and proud to be in a company that celebrates each other, and that, you know, where we get to link arms and not compete, but support and uplift and encourage and empower. And so I'm really honored that hopefully I got to be part of that for you. All right, my loves. Happy Friday, and I love you all. Bye.